You are listening to the SDSU podcast, presented by the East Village Times, with your host, Andre Hagverdian. Welcome, listeners, back to another episode of the SDSU podcast. I'm Andre Hagverdian, joined by two of our colleagues over at EVT, Chris Spiering and Bryant Thursby. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great.
Fantastic.
Well, basketball season has now officially started. As we sit here recording on Thursday night, San Diego State played its initial game against Long Beach State. They won 77 to 45. It was a good opening win for San Diego State. I mean, the game, I didn't watch it live. I was out of town, but I did watch it last night. It was an interesting game. Like, you look at the final score, you think San Diego State was kind of coasted throughout, but this game was tied at 20 with 6 minutes left in the first half. And San Diego State had got a big run towards the end of the first half and then kept it on in the second half. Chris, you covered the game for EVT. What were your thoughts about how San Diego State performed?
Yeah, like you said, close first half, but once they got into rhythm, then you could really just see them elevate their game, and they pulled away, towards the end of the first half. There was this like crazy little instance between Miles Bird getting hot, like towards the end of the first half, and then Miles Heide scoring a couple buckets before he did. I think they scored 12 points in a row right before the end of the half, and that's when they kind of extended their lead, right when it was like you said, tied 20 to 20, and then they ended up going up like by 15 at the half. So a couple things stood out to me, throughout the entire game, right? Obviously the two freshmen, LZ Harrington and Tay Simmons, are above, any kind of initial expectations that many had, for them coming into the season, right? Um, those two obviously played very well. Miles Bird, huge game, kind of was all over the place a little bit in a good way, right? Taj DeGorville got into a little bit of a foul trouble early on, but you know, once he was able to figure things out, he came back in and played much better on the defensive end too. Wasn't in any foul trouble towards the end of the game. So without Reeves, without Magoon, massive win. Obviously, it was a very favorable opponent, but the things that stood out to me were the fast break points, some second chance points. They got a lot of corner 3-point looks that were really, really good. So obviously I can go on and on, but those are some of the things that stood out early on.
What about you, Bryant?
Yeah, I was actually in attendance for the game. I wasn't covering it, but I was in attendance watching it. And first impressions, obviously were LZ and Tay, and just the way that LZ played, like it reminds me a little bit of Taj last year, where they kind of have this slow pace about them. They don't really get sped up when they're playing and everything. Because Long Beach State coming in, Chris Acker, very familiar. They played a very similar brand of defense, very aggressive brand of defense, getting all in the face, kind of cutting off driving lanes. So it was something that the Aztecs were very familiar with because they faced themselves a lot in practice, and it's something that they're familiar to. And LZ he didn't get sped up at all. He played very smooth. There was a play where he was on the right wing in the first half, and he made a swing pass across all the way, skip pass to the corner, right in the shooter's pocket. And I'm just like, I'm sitting there and I look at my dad and I'm like, the only person I've been impressed to see that pass as a freshman was Taj last year. You don't see that pass happen many times, and it's just LZ does such the little things. Like he did a skip pass from the wing to the corner, and it's such a little thing that if you're not paying attention, you don't really notice. But LZ just a skip pass right to the shooter's pocket, so that way BJ could no dip into a three, and he made it. It's just he does all the little things right, and I'm just like Dutcher did it again. He got another elite freshman duo again back to back years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I know obviously everything you guys said about LZ checks out. But we kind of figured he was going to be good because of how he was rated, how he was a USC decommit. But everything about Tay Simmons since we kind of knew about him, like that first interview he did with John Schaefer, I was like, this guy doesn't sound like a freshman. He sounds like a 50 or senior the way he's talking, you know, just so polished. And then you see him in a basketball jersey in practice, you're like, this guy doesn't look like a freshman. And then you see him actually play a game, you're like, he doesn't play like a freshman, even though he is a freshman. So I think his ceiling is really high because of so many of the things he can do. Um,
He defends at a very high level.
yeah, and but it's weird because with Magoon coming back and Jeremiah Odin obviously is going to play. You know, I'm not sure where the minutes are going to be for Tay, but he's going to have to get on the court because he provides a lot of value to this year's team. I thought Miles Heide was very good, as you mentioned, Chris. The way kind of that end of the first half, he had that one steal and breakaway
Yeah, four
and
straight like
one.
straight points.
Yeah, which is, I don't know if we've seen Miles with a play like that before. Um, but then the three-point shooting, I mean, 11 of 23, 48% is pretty good. And I think they even missed their first four of the game. So they must have been 11 of 19 to finish that game. They actually had a better they shot 48% from three and they only shot 41% from two, which is rare to see a team have shoot better from three than to two. Um, but that was one of my main concerns for this team. Every year, it seems like, what is the three-point shooting going to be? At least for one game, it was very good. And, as Dutcher said after the game, we've got great shooters when he was asked about that three-point shooting. So um, I think they're going to need to keep seeing that. They're not going to shoot 48% every game, but at least one game, it was really good.
I think the corner threes are what they're comfortable shooting. I'm just looking at the shot chart that they gave us after the game. I believe there's one, two, three, four in the second half, and there was
Yeah,
three from one corner in the first half. So I think that's seven of the 11 total for in the
yeah,
corner. Miles hit two, one from from the other side of the eight. But yeah, I think the corner threes are going to be what is going to be that deciding factor of, okay, are they really going to be an improved 3-point shooting team?
yeah,
Because obviously it's a little bit easier shooting from the top of the key, but those corner threes, if they can get hot from there, and like Bryant was saying earlier with that pass from LZ like to BJ, I was sitting right behind the Long Beach bench, and in the first half, I think it was Tay Simmons that hit a three right there. So it ended up being a wide open look, and so they did really well driving into the paint, kicking out, finding a lot of really good open looks. So if that continues, then the 3-point shooting is going to stay consistent because they're not only are they taking great looks, but they seem very comfortable in it.
yeah,
So
Yeah, they do seem very comfortable and kind of leaving the game a little bit. I This might be just how high of a expectation I have for this team, but I left the game kind of disappointed, even though they won over by 30. I thought they could have played so much better than they actually did. Like
mm,
Andre mentioned, them shooting 41% from two. Like there's a lot of those looks that they should have finished, and it should have been easily a 40 plus point blowout if they finished those easy looks. If they hit a couple more free throws, don't make a couple more mistakes. But it's early. Team's going to make mistakes. Team's still a little young. You have some veterans, but you still got a little bit of youth on their side. But team played as fantastic as you could play for a first game.
mhm.
yeah. I
Still
mean,
gonna.
rebounding, they only out rebounded Long Beach State by three. Miles
I think they
Bird had
were
eight
leading in the first
rebounds.
half. I
What's
think I
that?
think Long Beach had the rebounding advantage in the first half.
Yeah. But Miles Bird had eight, Tay Simmons had seven, Heidi had five. Um, yeah, seeing Miles Bird leading the team in rebounds, I don't know if that's the preferred guy to be your rebounding leader.
And that won't stick,
Yeah.
But I mean, look
But
at
he
Tay.
also played the most minutes. He played 30 minutes.
Four
Uh,
offensive rebounds from Tay though is very impressive in his
yeah.
game. That's incredible.
And the thing about Tay is that he's able to finish through contact in the paint. That's
Hmm.
not something San Diego State has always been great about. Their bigs. But he's got that muscle to take the contact and still finish, which is valuable. Which I think is part of the reason why he's gonna have to play this year.
Right,
Yeah,
and same with Heidi. Right, he was
yeah,
4 for 4. Heidi didn't miss a shot. And that was one of the things we were, kind of questioning him going into the season was, is he going to be able to finish at a consistent rate? Because he's going to get those open looks. He's going to get those offensive rebounds and be right there and have a good look. But is he
Yeah.
going to finish, the shot? And he proved that on Tuesday, and on the fast break, right? That's not easy to do for a big man like that. So that was impressive. There was just a lot to look forward to, in this one. So,
The team just looked stronger, like as a whole. The
mhm.
team just looked stronger, stronger rebounding the ball, stronger in box outs. Like even though they barely won the rebounding battle, when they did find the proper position and weren't out of position, the box outs seemed just a lot stronger than they were last year, and a lot stronger at the point of attack on the rebound and controlling the ball.
Would you say it was ruthless aggression?
I had a feeling you were going to go there after I said that.
Well, we have to talk about it because
Their pressure certainly was. They had
finally John Rothstein has a motto for San Diego State. Chris, you asked Dutch about that after the game. What was his response?
I I have it on Twitter here somewhere. Let me bring it up. He said he liked it. Obviously he didn't want to.
As long as it wasn't offensive.
It wasn't an offensive term,
Yeah,
but it might take me a second to find it here. But oh, here it is. He said, "I like it. If it's a defensive term, I like it. If it's offensive ruthless aggression or defensive, no, sorry. Yeah, if it's offensive ruthless aggression, I don't like that.
yeah,
But for defense, yes, 100%." So
yeah.
that
No,
was
that's
awesome.
funny. Thank you for asking him. That's
Yeah, he
great.
definitely chuckled at that one for sure. So
Yeah. Um, Latrell Davis, he didn't play. We interviewed him about a month ago.
mhm.
When we asked him about the role, what the coaching staff has said, he said he hadn't had that conversation. They hadn't made a decision. Still sounds like they haven't made a decision, but all signs point to him redshirting, which we kind of knew from day one was a viable option. What do you guys think? Maybe Bryant, you go first. What do you think about this kind of decision? Obviously, that could change with
Mhm.
maybe more permanent injury to the backcourt. But at this point, assuming he's redshirting, what do you think of the decision?
It's interesting. I'm confused. Not confused isn't the right word. I'm in between on it as well. I'm probably as in between on it as Coach Dutcher is, as you probably heard in the post game press conference, saying that he's telling Latrell, okay, if I don't like what I see out of these guys in the first half, then you're going to come in the second half, and then just letting him know, hey, stay ready. I might play you Sunday if I don't like what I see, because I do think Latrell Davis is ready to play. We saw it last year when he went up against San Diego State, both at home in San Jose and on the road coming to the AHOS. He dropped 20 plus. And he hit a game winner against New Mexico. This is a dude that can play in the Mountain West and can play in college basketball. He can score. His defense in the exhibition games was a little suspect. Not exactly what you want for an Aztec defense, but I'm indifferent. I'm indifferent. I'm not going to complain or say anything bad no matter what Dutch chooses. If Dutch chooses to redshirt him and not play him, I'm 1,000% agreeing with Dutch, because keeping those 2 years of eligibility, especially knowing and understanding that this is more than likely Bird's last ride on the Mesa going into the draft next year, more than likely, and obviously Reese leaving. You never know with the transfer portal what might happen with the team next year and the turnover. So, and if he
Yeah.
decides not to redshirt him and play him this year, I think he's well deserving of minutes. It's tough.
It's a tough situation for Latrell to be in because you want to stay ready. You're going to practice like you're playing, but you just don't know. That's kind of difficult, I would say, from that athlete's perspective. Um, Dutch said something interesting about if he's a difference between us being like a really good team or just another player. You know, I have to make that decision because I don't want to have to divvy up minutes between a bunch of players. Um, so I get it, but um, if I was a player, I think I would want to know now whether I'm redshirting or not, just because having that what if or maybe in the background. I don't know how that would affect him, but um, Dutch is a master coach. He's proven it, and so you're right. You have to give him the benefit of the doubt on what he's doing, but I agree. I think Latrell can play, and he is ready to play, but there are a lot of guys on this team and who need to play as well. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, you guys kind of nailed it. There's nothing really else I could say about it other than the fact that, obviously Dutcher, Dutcher loves the kid. He says it in the quote here. He brings it every single day with no lack of effort. So, like you guys said, there's a lot of guys in front of him. There's going to be moments where he's going to be needed. He could still redshirt, still get. I don't know what that deadline is. That fine line of how many games you can play in
You can't
basketball.
play any games.
It's not in basketball. Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
I know in football, I think it's maybe like one game
Football, you can play four. Basketball, if you play a
or
second, then you can't redshirt unless you have a medical issue, then
okay.
you get a redshirt medical waiver. But if you play 1 second of one game that counts, non-exhibition games, then you can't redshirt.
Okay. Then you know what? I'm just gonna go out and say that I do not think he's gonna play on Sunday, regardless if
Yeah.
Reese Dixon Waters plays, because I'm not breaking any news here. I could be totally wrong. Like he says, he tells them said post game that, hey, Latrell, I might need you on Sunday, but
Yeah.
I just don't think Dutcher's going to want to risk that right away, especially because he's still got more years down the road. So, and Davis can return next season. So we'll see what happens. I just don't expect him to play. I don't necessarily expect Reese Waters to play either. Reese Dixon Waters, apologies. So it's gonna be tough to get used to that. But
Yeah.
with his eye poke, with the scratch cornea, that can be painful. I'm not sure, if he comes back, if he's gonna have to wear goggles or whatnot. He was a little sick. That's another reason why he didn't play on Tuesday night. But um, there's no real reason why Dutcher won't just go out with the same lineup he did on Tuesday for what could be his 200th win as an
Yeah.
Aztec coach.
Yeah, the Reese Dixon Waters thing is weird because he was at the press conference Monday. He was set to play. He had gotten over the illness. He was talking about how great it's going to feel for him to get to play after missing a year. Um, and then he walks in with this corneal abrasion. It must have happened away from the team because Dutcher seemed to think it was a surprise when he walked in with sunglasses on Tuesday. We don't know what happened, but I guess it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, a corneal abrasion. It's unlike any, sprained ankle or knee sprain or, shoulder injury that you kind of have an idea of, okay, this is how long it's going to take. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
He may end up wearing some James Worthy goggles
He
for
could.
a little bit, or Horace Grant goggles. I don't know who the better reference is for our viewers, but um, yeah, who knows? I don't know. I mean, we'd like to see him on the court, but um, when you're playing Long Beach State, Idaho State, maybe he's not as essential, and you want to make sure he's fully healthy before he comes back.
Right.
Which, speaking of healthy, Magoon Gwath, Dutcher did talk about him, saying that Magoon is kind of, biting at the tail a little bit, wanting to come back and wanting to
Oh,
play. And Dutcher and the coaching staff and the medical staff is like, all right, let's relax a little bit. Let's pull back. He did say there is a chance, he said it's not a long shot that, we might see Magoon on Sunday. I personally think it is a long shot we see Magoon on Sunday. I think they're
no
going to
reason.
hold him out
Mhm. Yeah.
personally until the Troy game, and then have that be the tune-up game for him before Players era. But we might see Magoon on Sunday. It might be the Magoon season opener.
Yeah, like you said, it can happen, but with a week off after this game, I don't believe they play till the following Tuesday. I could be wrong, but against Troy. But yeah, he could definitely make his return this Sunday. We'll know more tomorrow. Dutcher's going to speak to the media tomorrow morning. I believe, like going back to what Dutcher said to the media on Monday, was that the 6th, which was tonight,
Yeah.
Magoon was going to be coming back to practice. So obviously, I wasn't at practice. Um, I don't know what happened, but hopefully he was able to come back and do a full contact and everything was good to go. If that is the case, then he could be good to go on Sunday. No real need to rush it, but we'll see what happens. But we'll know more tomorrow after Dutcher speaks. I'm sure he'll get asked about it.
Now we
Yeah, I
got Idaho
mean,
State on Sunday.
yes.
Dutcher's 200th win potentially.
Hmm.
What are your expectations of the game, guys? What are we thinking?
I don't know too much about Idaho State yet. Haven't really dug into it.
Hmm.
Um, but you would think it'd be very similar to the Long Beach State game. Um, maybe they don't shoot 48% from three-point land, but they improve their two-point percentage, get easier looks at the basket, make a higher percentage, maybe less foul trouble from the backcourt, so you can see a little bit more of Newman and DeGorville. Um, Farrell Compton had a subpar game against Long Beach State. Out of all the guys we talked about, we didn't really mention him. I would look to him to have a bounce back game in this one. I think he only had 6 points against Long Beach State. Didn't play a lot of minutes. So that's one thing I would look for in this game, seeing a better performance from Farrell.
He did make both of his free throws, which is a great sign. 14 for 19 as a team is good. Um, but yeah, like you said, I'm gonna have a preview out later this week. I'll dive into Idaho State a little bit later. But yeah, I would assume the same lineup. Could change things up a tad. Depends on what you want to do with if Sean Newman Jr. Starts again, or again if Reese ends up playing. But yeah, I would assume Dutcher goes for his 200th win on Sunday. I don't think Idaho State's going to be as good as Long Beach State, so it's going to be another one of those potential blowout wins towards the end of the game. I would like to see the Aztecs start out better, get into that rhythm offensively, not after 4 or 5 minutes go off the clock first, get, go 3 for 4 to start, 5 for 6, you know, create those easy looks because they're going to eventually do that. They'll settle down, but I just think it speak volumes if this team, because it's been a couple. They're both of their preseason games and this game against Long Beach. It wasn't a big, you know, slow start, I should say, but
Yeah.
I think that a good solid start offensively would be huge for this team.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I know they played a lot faster than what we are accustomed to seeing Aztec teams play against Long Beach State. Um, I kind of want to see them run a little bit more than what we saw on Tuesday. And we saw them run a lot. I would like to see them run a lot more, get in transition a lot more, because I think Sean Newman Jr. is one of the best transition point guards that this program has had in a very, very long time. He just, his decision making, his processing is just very quick.
Hmm.
It's very an actual true point guard, an actual true point guard with his decision making and his processing. Like this, see this team get out and run a little bit more. Obviously, Andre, you talked about Pharaoh. I would like to be Pharaoh dominate a little bit more inside. See this team shoot more effectively and more efficiently inside the arc. Um, should be an easy win. Should be Dutch's 200th win. Should be celebrating Dutch's 200th win on Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday is going to be a big San Diego sports day, as we were kind of talking about before we went live or start recording. The Wave have a road playoff game at noon against Portland, and then obviously San Diego State plays at 2 uh, at home, and then at 6 p.m. San Diego FC hosts Game 3 against Portland as well, and a do or die game, final game of the series. So. Could be a great day for San Diego sports. Could be a really bad day. Obviously, depending on what the soccer teams do. But
Right.
Sunday should be a big sports day for San Diego.
A lot of people going from both. Aztecs games. Get on the trolley, head right down the 8 to
Yeah, I mean, I'll be on
Snapdragon.
both. I'll be on the trolley heading to San Diego State for the 2 o'clock game, and then heading to Snapdragon on the trolley. I'm sure I'll see a lot of the same people that doing both as well on the trolley, and also people driving to from one parking lot to the other. So, um, yeah, it could be a great day for San Diego sports. San Diego State obviously is expected to win to help that. So, uh,
I want to go back to Sean Newman Jr. real quickly. I just realized he actually finished with 0 points in the win. I do know he took one good look. I can't remember the other two, but I think he's going to be one of those guys, like Bryant said earlier. He's going to be looking to pass the ball first, and when the Aztecs are trying to run, play with pace, with that pressure, that ruthless aggression that John Rothstein said. I think Newman's going to be a huge part of that. It was I don't want to say it was like a bad debut for him. That's not the case at all. It was a big win. He contributed, right? But he finished with 0 points and only 3 assists. I think he can finish, average 5 to 6 assists a game, probably even more than that. Um, but once he gets more comfortable, I really want to look for him to, you know, start those fast breaks, right? The guys are going to be finding him the ball early on in those transition plays. And like Brian said, he's going to be making great passes. And, we've already seen those great passes from Taj. We saw it from LZ in the first game. There's going to be so many opportunities where they can do whatever they kind of want on the fast break, right? They can dish it out to a wide open three. They can throw an alley oop to Farrell Compton. They can do the same thing to Tay Simmons. Magoon is going to have his moments on the fast break as well. Miles Bird, boy, does he, I don't know if you saw this, Bryant, in the warmups, but Miles Bird is attempting some pretty
He's
impressive
a,
dunks.
he's
Not
attempting
only
some
finishing them,
insane dunks.
he's not finishing all of them, but he's attempting some big time ones. So we'll see if he gets that opportunity in a game to really, make a
Kind of
highlight
highlight
reel. But
something.
yeah,
well,
man, can't
speaking
stop
of
talking about it.
dunks, LZ had a really nice dunk off of a
Yeah,
second chance
man,
opportunity, but
man.
then he blew a breakaway dunk at the end of the first
Right
half
after that,
as well.
right after
So
that.
it's like, one good, one bad for the true freshman, but his dunk was nice for sure. I saw it on over all over social media Tuesday night.
Both of
Um,
our photographers, Don
yeah,
Mars, Brandon Pollard had a great flick of it as well. So I wonder if LZ already has that as a screensaver. I wouldn't be shocked, but
He might. It got me out of my seat.
yeah. Yeah, you can kind of see me and Mark Ziegler's reaction after the dunk. We kind of both just like looking at each other, like, whoa, like that. We knew it could happen, but we didn't expect it that early, right? I believe it was in the first half, so that was
and
pretty.
I think that's the number one surprising thing about LZ is his length. For a point guard, just the length that he has and the athleticism, it's a scary combination, especially when you can play that point guard and still being able to do all that stuff. So
It's going to
yeah,
help him on the defensive end too, right? His length.
yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely going to help on the defensive end.
So
Now,
Mountain West play hasn't started yet, but the Mountain West is making a lot of news nationally for mostly wrong reasons. We've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
Boise State losing to um, a Division II school,
Hawaii
one.
Pacific.
Yeah, Hawaii Pacific. That's
They're in
right.
a their main campus is
all
a strip
Hawaii
mall. It's a
Pacific.
strip mall. Oh yeah, right next to the port. I know exactly where it is. I've been there.
Which I mean, and people were saying on social media that they basically lost their at-large chance. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
it
probably
doesn't
true,
it doesn't
unless they're going
count
to lose another
against the
game.
debt.
I'm gonna look up their schedule right now. They're gonna have a very impressive win, and I don't know if they even have that opponent. It would have to be San Diego State, right? But
Boise State would have to win out in their
Yeah,
non-conference. They would have to finish top three at least in the Mountain West with at least one, if not both,
and they weren't
of
even
their games
projected to
coming
get
against
top
San
three.
Diego State. Like they're gonna have to do some insane stuff to get an at-large because it's so hard to make it after you lose to a Division II school. I know it doesn't count against the net, but the committee still sees that loss.
yeah.
Yeah, their biggest game is if it's not San Diego State, it's going to be St. Mary's, and they host USC for the not host. Sorry, they go to Maui to play USC there. So they're going to have to win, all those games to even have a shot. And they weren't even projected to get top three. I believe it was Grand Canyon and Utah State. So yeah, definitely embarrassing. I think BJ Rains, who covers the team, right? Everybody knows him. Um, he was not shy of saying that was arguably the worst loss in the history of the program. So
Yeah.
definitely shocking. They lost by 1 point. They were obviously down six, I think 7 points late. I think they hit a three and then another shot to go down one. And then they ended up, I think they believed they had the ball at the end of the game. And then they had two shots or two opportunities for a shot. Didn't really get any good looks up. And then that
Yeah.
was it.
Absolute, absolute malpractice. The way that Leon Rice ended that game, not attacking the basket and using the size and length and athleticism you have compared to Hawaii Pacific is just malpractice, coaching malpractice.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know if he told him to take the ball to the basket and the guy just decided to take a jumper.
If he did, he was very calm on the sideline.
Yeah. Yeah,
Brutal.
it is
That's
brutal.
it doesn't make the Mountain West look good too either. So, you know,
Yeah.
Some of the
it's a
schools
lot more
going
exciting in the
to the
Mountain West for
Pac-12.
sure. Hmm.
I think
Speaking
Oh,
of
they won,
going
yeah.
to the Pac-12,
UNLV did their
They won.
part as well, losing to UT Martin at home. Um, and then Fresno State, which is not really supposed to be great, but they lost to USC Upstate, South Carolina Upstate, which not a school I'd ever heard of,
I never heard of it either.
last night. So yeah, it's not a good start for some of this non-conference play. That's supposed to be kind of the appetizers, right?
Hmm.
The get me ones early in the season. So, what do you guys make of all this?
the UNLV loss to me, yeah, it's obviously a little shocking because even with all the injuries that UNLV has throughout their team right now, from high quality transfers that Josh Pastner brought in, you still expect your scholarship guys, your lower transfers, to handle a UT Martin team. But UNLV losing, not too shocking to me. Fresno State losing to SC Upstate was shocking to me because I thought Fresno State was going to win, not by a lot. I thought it was going to be probably an 8 point game, but just flat out losing was shocking to me, and I feel bad for Fresno State fans a little bit and kind of the people that support basketball over there because it's kind of hard to recruit over there.
It is. Oh yeah,
It's kind of
100%.
hard to get players to want to come to the middle of pretty much nowhere with an basketball department that's not as advanced as the other Mountain West schools and the other Pac-12 schools that you're going with. And if you're Fresno State and its fan base, you kind of hope going to the Pac-12 gives a little bit of boost money wise. But even then, it's still going to be hard to recruit guys to want to go there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and USC Upstate is actually a Division One school in the Big South. Interesting.
really. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, for some of
Well, I
us
guess
college basketball degens, we know of SC Upstate.
there you go.
Some of us that were in high school watching Big South during English class second period.
yeah,
The thing you said about Fresno State is interesting because it is really in the middle of nowhere, but they've gotten some high profile players in the past to play there. They've had some good teams because at least most recently their good teams are built on kind of a defensive identity, winning games kind of like in the 50s. But they got a Paul George in the past. They've had some other players that have made it to the NBA, but you're right. Their future does not seem very high, at least from a basketball perspective. And I don't know how they turn that around.
yeah. I'm not sure. They got to win their non-conference games, that's for sure, and it's not looking good. They got Long Beach State next, then UC San Diego. They yeah, we'll see what happens to them. I think they play Arkansas later in the season, which is a random game. I think I saw UNLV plays Alabama in the players era.
UNLV is in the players era,
Yeah,
and
so they play Maryland and then Alabama. Okay. We'll see how that goes. Let's just hope they don't finish last place because we want the Mountain West to look good in that. You know, the
hopefully
better
they
the Mountain
sneak
West
out
looks,
a win
the better
against
San Diego State
Maryland.
looks. But everybody else looked good though. I would have to say Utah State won by 50, 6 points. I don't know who they played. Westminster, somewhere in probably Utah or Texas.
Somewhere in like Provo area.
Grand Canyon won by 19 against Purdue. Fort Wayne, I believe it was Fort Wayne. New Mexico, easy win against East Texas A&M. So as expected, going around the rest of the conference, Nevada, 27-point win over Louisiana Tech, Sean Newman Jr.'s former squad.
Hmm.
And then Colorado State got a massive 34-point win over Incarnate Word, which is a Division I program. One of those lost names because of their name. So, but Air Force is 0-1. Air Force got, I believe, their butts kicked to Belmont. They're, again, Air Force is going to be maybe a two conference win team. If it would be anybody, they would probably be Fresno State, if anything. If not, they'll probably be winless. I don't know if they won a conference game last year. Air Force did. I don't think they did. If they did, it would have been probably Fresno, but
Or San Jose State last year. I
or
think
San
they
Jose
lost that
State.
one at home.
San Jose State lost to Utah. That was expected. That was, I mean, not an easy game to open the season. Right? They'll be at Michigan State, I think, later in the season, or actually no, later this month on my birthday, which is a week from today. So
Happy early birthday.
thank you. And then just the last team I forgot, Wyoming, 99-75 win over Northern State. If I'm saying that right, I'm not sure where they're from, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I believe San Diego State will probably be the only ranked Mountain West team this season. Grand Canyon has a chance. Utah State has a chance, depending on how they do. Utah State always ends up playing better than the expectations do. So we'll see what happens. But this is definitely San Diego State's conference to lose. And man, after one game, it's pretty obvious at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Any last words, Chris, on basketball before we shift gears to football?
No. There's one thing I wanted to bring up while we're on the record here. Brian and I have already talked about it a little bit. The famous motto now, I guess, catchphrase that San Diego State has, ruthless aggression. I'm thinking about, well, not thinking, I'm going to purchase one of those shirts, thinking about doing an East Village Times giveaway in relation to the San Diego State podcast. So we'll talk more about that, over the weekend. And so fans, make sure you guys are looking out on Twitter, Facebook as well. We'll probably post it on Facebook. We'll do some kind of giveaway. Not fully sure what that's going to look like yet, but and James Clark, our editor in chief at East Village Times, has another. I don't want to give it away yet, but has another potential giveaway as well that we could either combine it or do two separate. So. But I think that ruthless aggression shirt is going to be pretty popular. You might see fans wearing them at games this season. So I think it'd be a cool idea to do a giveaway with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Look forward to
absolutely.
that.
So always fun doing those. We've done some giveaways in the past. I believe the last one we did was San Diego Loyal related. Gave away some tickets to one of their big time matchups. So that was a lot of cool. Got some big traction. So. But yeah, I got a preview coming later this week for the Idaho State game, Dutcher potential 200th win. I have the notes here in case anybody is actually wondering what the record is. Steve Fisher, 386, obviously from in his 17 years coaching the team. and I might screw up this guy's last name, George Ziegenfuss, I believe, if I'm pronouncing that right. Apologies if I did not. Has 316 wins. So obviously Dutcher's got a long way to go, but he's on pace to get to that 300 margin here in the next 5 seasons. It looks like probably quicker than that. So
Yeah.
four seasons maybe. So it's going to be another fun game, early one, 2 o'clock. So lots going on Sunday. We'll see what the turnout will be.
Yeah. For sure. All right, Chris, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next time.
Appreciate you guys. All right, man. Take care, guys.
Take care. Have a good one.
All right, Bryant. We haven't talked football in a couple weeks. All my fault, obviously, but I'm back now. We've got um, two games, right? We Fresno State and
Fresno State and Wyoming.
Wyoming. I don't know. Chris is frozen, or oh yeah. So yeah, they San Diego State beat Fresno State 23 to nothing 2 weeks ago, and then they beat Wyoming this past week at home. You got a chance to cover that one. Just in general, these last two games, but specifically Wyoming. What were your impressions on the performances?
This defense is really good, man. This defense is really good. That's my impression. First drive happens, Wyoming goes down and just drives down the field, 75 yards, boom, touchdown. I'm sitting in the press box like, what just happened? Like that doesn't happen. And I said it in the post game recap, and I even said it on Twitter, I believe. That was the first time San Diego State defense has given up opening drive points all season long, not just a touchdown, points on the opening drive. So that came as an absolute shocker. But from that point on, the defense settled in, and I believe Wyoming got, I think, only 110 yards after that.
Hmm.
It The defense was absolutely dominant. They were flying all over the place, tipping passes at the line of scrimmage, getting to the quarterback, creating pressure, forcing fumbles. It was just an absolute dominant game, in a dominant game where San Diego State only won by 17. Coach Sean Lewis spoke after the game, it's good, but it's also kind of crazy that we're saying, it was a little bit of a disappointing game by San Diego State
Hmm.
in a game where we're saying that they dominated and it was a 17-point game, but clearly San Diego State should have won that game by probably 24 points, maybe even 31. It was
Yeah.
The score did not indicate how dominant that game was for San Diego State.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more you could say about the defense because week in and week out they are continuing to dominate. After a couple, shutting out Cal, um, what they did against Northern Illinois, only 3 points. You're like, okay, it's only a couple games, but now we're 8 games into the season, and it's now an expectation that this defense is going to dominate more than a surprise or um, an unsure thing. But like, I think after 6 games, one of the things I wanted to see from this team is when the offense starts turning the ball over in bunches, when Placencia misses a kick, or when they don't score in the red zone, and the defense gets a short field from offense turning the ball over. How's the entire team going to respond? And the fact that they've still won these two games 47-7 with 4 turnovers, Placencia misses a chip shot field goal. Um, is very impressive. And you're right. I don't think they came away from either of those games happy with the performance, but to still win by 23 points and 17 points shows how good of a team this is. And it kind of gives Sean Lewis and the staff it's kind of, you know, coming out of these games winning easy and winning by a lot, but still not playing well. I think you have the ear of the players even more than you would if you won by 50 and you played what you think a perfect game. So, um, heading into these next last 4 games, I think the team still really understands and the players speak it based on their press conferences that they know they didn't play well or as to the best of their abilities. And I think they're looking to uh, crank it up another notch. But just watching both of those games, just kind of back to back because I watched them yesterday as I was finally back. Um, the offense definitely has struggled getting first downs, moving the chains, sustaining drives. They haven't had that big play. Donovan Brown caught a big play. Uh, and then he caught another one and got a pass interference, which he might have gotten an offensive pass interference on the first one too, if
He
you
did.
looked at the replay.
He did.
Got away with a push on that one too. But that deep pass that was kind of big early in the season has not been as big. But Lucky Sutton, what more can you say about him? He's got over 800 rushing yards now through 8 games, averaging 100 yards a game. Um, so yeah, I think there's a lot more they could do, but can't complain about winning these games by 3 scores or more.
Yeah, absolutely not. And Trey White kind of echoed it after the game, saying, defense played absolutely amazing, but he's like, this squad hasn't played a full game of all three levels yet.
Yeah.
As obviously he's talking about obviously today we were fantastic talking about the defense. We were dominant. We had to pick up our guys offensively and special teams wise. But this team's dangerous. They haven't, he's talking about themselves going, we haven't played a full 3 game or 3 phase game. And boy, does the defense have some challenges in the next month.
hmm
Boy, does the defense have some challenges in the next month. And I kind of asked Sean Lewis a little bit what it means to build the staff that he has and kind of has this trust and the type of group that Rob Arch and just what it speaks to him and his staff building. And he kind of explained, it's they get in a room together and able to have these meetings, able to have these conversations, these deep conversations, about the game and analyze everything. It's a close bond, it's a brotherhood among the coaching staff, but also among the players. Kind of speaks to the volume and the knowledge. Like, there's a lot of things that his coaching staff and his assistants bring to his attention that sometimes he's not aware of, and they're able to have those vulnerable conversations. And it's what he's created and what's created a great staff that he has. And the staff is definitely going to show how great it is in this next month with Hawaii. Obviously, we know how great of an offense they have with the redshirt freshman Alejandro. I hope I say his last name right. Obviously, Boise State, they lost their star quarterback, Madsen, to an injury. But the backup isn't no slouch either. And we saw what San Jose State just did to Hawaii literally last week, throwing for over 450 yards and running for over 160 on the ground. And then New Mexico, who's put up a lot of points as well. So the defense is going to have its work cut out for them the next month.
Yeah, the Hawaii game, at the start of the season, you wouldn't think much of that game, but now it might be kind of their toughest game left, especially if Boise's starting quarterback is injured. Obviously, Boise's still going to be tough. And then even New Mexico at the end of the season, a road game is looks like it could be a tough one. So these last 4 games are definitely probably the toughest 4 games of the season. Hawaii's an 8 o'clock Pacific time start this Saturday, a 5 o'clock local in Hawaii. So it's going to be a late one here in San Diego for Aztec fans watching that one. Um, but if the Aztecs show up and do what they can do, what they've shown that they can do all season, um, this could be a great opportunity for another win. Hopefully Jaden Denegal is getting healthier. He obviously was questionable heading into the game, but he started and played. Um, Tana Latuli got injured. Unfortunately, he tore his ACL and is out for the season. He's a captain, he's a leader, spiritual leader of the team, so not having him is a big blow. But he's missed a couple games already this year, and the defense hasn't really missed a beat. Mr. Williams, who was a transfer from Incarnate Word, he's stepped in and played really well this year. You've got some backups, um, Brady Anderson, DJ Herman, who can also step in and play. So I don't know if it's as huge of a loss as maybe we thought it would have been if Latuli was out at the beginning of the season. But it's another thing they can overcome. Um, They've got other guys on questionable on the availability report. Kalen Ellis, who got injured and left against Wyoming. I forget who else is questionable.
I believe Chris Johnson is questionable.
Well,
Along
and
with
Eric Butler. So two of your
Eric
starting
Butler.
secondary guys. You would think that they're probably going to be able to play, but you don't know for sure. So yeah, some of those injuries could be critical whether they can play or not. But um, the defense is going to get tested in the secondary. So this is out of all the games, you would want someone like a Chris Johnson, Eric Butler to be healthy and to play. Bryce Phillips had a great game against Wyoming. He's definitely stepped up. Um, Opposite Chris Johnson, he had a pick. He had a great play in the end zone that he broke up a pass that could have been an easy touchdown. Um, so yeah, I mean, seeing which one of these questionable guys can play, can't play, could be crucial for this game.
Yeah, Bryce Phillips not only had a great game, he had a perfect game in terms of passer rating against.
Hmm.
Passer rating against Bryce Phillips against Wyoming was zero.
Yeah,
It was zero. That is as perfect as you can get. Bryce Phillips played a fantastic game. We know what Chris Johnson is. We know he's likely a day two pick, could sneak into the first round of the NFL draft, depending on how he does
at the
uh,
combine.
combine and everything and at the pro day. Um, Defense is going to be challenged, and I know Johnny mentioned it a little bit in his review, or not his review, but his preview of the game. That Hawaii's pretty solid up front when it comes to the run, but San Jose State did a pretty solid job last week. 26 rush attempts, a little over 160 yards. Radcliffe for San Jose State averaged 9.7 yards a carry. The quarterback for San Jose State, I don't know how to say that last name, Iget, had 25 yards rushing. So San Diego State could look to see Jaden Denegal run a little bit there on the read options, on the RPOs. Um, could definitely see another dominant Lucky Sutton game for over 120 yards probably this weekend.
Yep, yep. And as we mentioned, after Hawaii, Boise State comes into town. Big game there. The big topic around social media and San Diego State the last couple days was about ticket prices. It's not a new topic. It's been going on since Snapdragon Stadium has opened. Um, Now that the team is actually good, it's obviously become a talking point again because the Wyoming attendance was pretty disappointing for a homecoming for a 4 o'clock game. Um, you know, when you get this a board of supervisors in the city of San Diego to write a letter to San Diego State telling them that their ticket prices are too high, I don't know if anyone had that on their bingo card for this year. Now
It's one of
Jim
my bingo
Desmond,
cards for this
he is a
year.
San Diego State alumni, so he has a little bit of a connection to that, but I did not expect to see that kind of a letter. Um, Now they had already done a two for $40 promotion before that letter, or at least it was in the works before that letter got submitted, um, which should help. But yeah, I mean, ticket prices have been an issue. They did lower ticket prices, I think, going into last season or maybe the year before by like 7 or 8%. Um, it's still pretty high. I mean, there's no sugarcoating the fact that some of these prices in the upper decks over $100 a ticket is ridiculous. But San Diego State has made its bed, and they don't, other than some of these flash sales and promotions, they aren't going to drastically reduce season ticket prices or single game prices across the board, no matter what people are saying. I just don't see it happening. Um, but as long as they do these promotions and flash sales and we get people into the stadium at more affordable prices, then, going back to how the crowd was against Cal and Colorado State, I mean, there's no reason why they should have taken a step back in Wyoming. And then with Boise coming to town, I mean, on Sunday night, I'm going to go to the SDFC playoff game and there's going to be 32,000 people there. right? And the atmosphere is going to be crazy. It's
Probably
just,
more in standing room.
yeah, I don't know how much standing room tickets they actually sell at Snapdragon, but there could be. Um, but that's something you kind of envision for San Diego State football that, one day they do have a real sellout crowd for a football game. Um, because the team deserves it. They're playing just as well as, any San Diego State team has played in a long time. So yeah, I don't know what you thought about the attendance for Wyoming being there in person, but at least on TV, it looked very lackluster.
I have had my opinions about the ticket pricing, and I'll just speak a little bit on it, and try and be as cordial as possible. Um, it's terrible. It's awful. When you have a board member of San Diego having to write you a letter and then tweet it out, and then on top of that, the next day, even after you do the flash sale of the 2 for 40, having one of the best players in your program's history in Donnell Pumphrey tweet out, just make tickets $35 a pop.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. Make it affordable for people to come here. And we don't have to get into the politics and what's going on in the world right now, but I know JD Wicker's not just he knows what's going on in the world right now, and he knows that families now more than ever need affordable ticket prices, to take their little ones somewhere or to hang out with their son, dad's sons, families, whatever it is. Just have a family day. Need somewhere to be affordable. And when you have a team, let's say San Diego State goes into Honolulu on Saturday and gets the win, gets votes receiving, maybe even get ranked into the top 25, they deserve a sold out crowd against Boise State. I think they deserve a sold out crowd regardless of the result against
Mhm.
Hawaii. And the best way to do that is to make tickets affordable. It shouldn't cost $110 for a nosebleed seat. I can find cheaper tickets for a Charger game at SoFi Stadium.
Mhm.
It's obviously people have talked about it. Ziegler's wrote about it. Kurt Kearney has wrote about it in the San Diego Union Tribune. People have wrote about it. People have complained about it. It just doesn't seem like it's something that's going to get done. Um, Now, I will give them credit. I do love the promotions. The 2 for 40 promotion running from yesterday up until 30 minutes before kickoff. Absolutely love that. If you have the link and you know some people that want to go to the game and say it's just too expensive, text it into a group chat link that you have. Post it on Facebook, post it on Instagram. Do things to get a team that deserves a sold out crowd. And there's a light show afterwards. Kids will love that.
I think it's at halftime, right? The drone show.
Drone shows either at halftime or it's after the game, but either way, kids will love that.
Yeah. I, I totally agree with you. I think what made this issue even bigger this week is the fact that the Wyoming coach kind of made fun of the crowd afterwards, talking about how they had a promotion to have um, fans dress up as empty seats or something like that. Um, and there's a lot to make about a comment like that. In one sense, you can make the case that he's right. He's not saying anything that's like wrong. But in another case, you would think like worry about coaching your own team as opposed to trying to make fun of you, the team that just whooped you, their fans, right? I think he was trying to stick up for Sean Lewis and stick up for the players who do deserve, as you said, more fans. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's not necessarily the message with the messenger, but it definitely got people riled up and got people talking about it. And if that helps, get a resolution somehow, then sure. But it was strange to see the opposing coach kind of take that jab post game, or I think it was the next day or the Monday after. So I don't know. It's as I said at first, like this is an issue that's been talked about since day one of Snapdragon. Um, you know, it's not really going away necessarily. But now that the team's actually winning and people want to come to games, like last year, nobody wanted to go to games, right? So ticket prices, they used ticket prices as an excuse, but like the team was bad enough whereas like nobody really wanted to go. Now people want to go and they're saying it's too expensive to go, and that's not wrong. Um, but yeah, at some point, the administration is going to have to do something to get it right because it's not working right now. But it's not going to happen, I think, this year. And I think usually towards the end of the season is when renewals get announced. So maybe not too far in the future, renewed pricing will come out. Maybe that'll have impact. I don't know. But no matter what happens, you want to see 25 to 30,000 people actually in the crowd for that game against Boise because it'll make that atmosphere way better.
Absolutely. There's a lot more that can be said on the matter, and I'll let the San Diego Union Tribune guys of Kurt Kearney and Mark Ziegler and any of the other guys handle if they want to address it further than they've already have because they've already released articles speaking about it. And not attacking Wicker per se, but kind of putting him in the spotlight a little bit. But this football team deserves a sold out crowd. This football team deserves a sold out crowd. This head coach deserves a sold out crowd. What he's doing in the community, trying to get students going, trying to get fans going, doing all he can to involve himself in the community, that should be something like not only as an athletic director, but as a community as a whole in San Diego, you should love. Somebody that's
Yep.
buying into your city, not just the school, to your city.
Yep. Agreed. All right. As we talked about, Hawaii Saturday night, 8 p.m. San Diego time. It is not nationally televised, but I believe the Mountain West app is streaming it. This is one of those games where it did not get picked up by Fox or CBS as part of the Mountain West media program. So, you'll see people scrambling to try to find the game. But yeah, it's an important game. Right now, San Diego State is atop the Mountain West, undefeated. I tweeted this yesterday, but essentially, if they go 3-1 in these last four games, they're guaranteed to be in the conference championship game. If they beat Boise as part of those three wins, they're guaranteed to host the championship game. Going 2-2 still gives them a pretty good opportunity to get in the championship game. It'll kind of depend on what other teams do and the tiebreaker scenarios, because I think right now there's six teams with two losses in the conference and Boise with one. So you could, 2-2 doesn't guarantee the conference championship game, but it still gives them a pretty good shot at to get there. Um, and obviously 4-0 will get them there. And then, we'll see what happens. But San Diego State has a great opportunity. They're also in the discussion college football playoff, one of like five teams that a lot of like ESPN considers in the mix right now, although they have the least odds out of the five. Memphis, North Texas, South Florida, and James Madison are the other four that are getting a lot of publicity. So we'll see how those teams do. You keep an eye on those teams' schedules and their outcomes because, if San Diego State keeps winning, they're going to need those teams to lose probably. Um, but some of those teams play each other as well because three of those teams are in the American. One or two of them are going to lose probably at least, if not regular season, in the conference championship game. So a lot of possibilities to go. So any last word?
No last words. If you're streaming from the Mountain West app and you're able to actually put the Mountain West app onto your TV as long as your TV is able. So no, you don't have to watch it on just your phone. You can put it on your TV. If you live in San Diego, I believe KCBS is picking it up. But there's a TV station that's picking it up if you live in San Diego and have San Diego networks. If you live outside San Diego, like I myself do, living in Riverside County, um, gonna have to do Mountain West app to watch the game. And then if you live anywhere close to San Diego, get your family and friends to go to the game next week and get this team a well-deserved sold out crowd. Andre, you got to unmute yourself.
Sorry, it's been a while. Yeah, that'll do it for us, guys. Hopefully, you enjoyed our discussions on basketball and football for San Diego State, as both are now in full swing. It's one of the best times of the year when you got both of them going. As we get into the holidays, Thanksgiving, and obviously Christmas time. But thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to hit the subscribe button or like and share with all your favorite friends. And we'll talk to you guys next time.
You are listening to the SDSU podcast, presented by the East Village Times, with your host, Andre Hagperdian.